Hello everyone, my name is Avkash and you are welcome to another segment of Startup Review. In this segment, we take one early stage startup and try to analyze it. We try to analyze the startup based on various points such as who the founder is, in which market they are, what problem they are trying to solve, and what is their solution, how big the market is, what its outlook look like, and why this startup could be a great project in future. So let's get started. Today, our startup is SpinLaunch, a new way to go to space. We are going to understand and learn more about SpinLaunch. Our objective is to learn why and how and if SpinLaunch could be the next unicorn. We are going to analyze SpinLaunch to understand if SpinLaunch has everything needed to be the next successful business in coming years. As always, we use these given 10 points, and in each point we are going to look SpinLaunch more deeply to get more answers and information about SpinLaunch.
The pressure's good. Everything. Oh my God! I'm so proud of you guys.
SpinLaunch is a space tech startup. They use a new and a non-traditional way to send satellites in low orbit space. SpinLaunch basically is a kinetic launch space company to use spinning arm to catapult satellites in low orbit Earth in a better cost efficient way. As you could see in this image, their spinning arm launching site is visible. The technology is all electric and the spinning arm is a vacuum tight chamber where the rocket spins for 1.5 hours to reach up to 5,000 miles per hour speed, and when the required speed is achieved, that rocket is being catapulted into the space. So the idea with the SpinLaunch is to use this airtight vacuum chamber to spin the rocket for about 1.5 hours, and after 1.5 hours of spin and reaching at 5,000 miles per hour speed, the rocket gains enough kinetic energy that it can be launched through atmosphere at supersonic speed. The investors behind SpinLaunch are really very big name ones, such as Google Ventures, Kleiner Perkins, Bolt, Airbus, Starlight Ventures, and many others. So looking into the project, it's quite a breakthrough. Just listening about the technology, it looks futuristic. Let's go deep to learn more about SpinLaunch. The SpinLaunch is founded by Jonathan Yene, who himself is an experimental aircraft builder. He has over 20 years of experience in related industries, and he conceived SpinLaunch in 2014. Since then, he built some of the experimental technology and founded the SpinLaunch. Today, Jonathan has a really impressive team of various space tech experts working together with him to make the SpinLaunch a very successful project. So let's try to understand the problem where SpinLaunch is trying to create the solution. So very first thing is that sending satellites in the space is very costly affair. The traditional methods of sending satellites are costly because of two main reasons. First, it uses fuel-based rocket to launch the satellite in the outer sphere. Because of that launching fuel, about 80% of the weight at the start is engine, which is carrying the rocket into the sphere. So about only 2% of the space is available in the whole rocket to hold the satellites. So large weight to start is a big problem. And second, using this very large amount of fuel, which carrying almost 85% of the total weight. And third, the fuel itself is not environment friendly way. So these are the main problem to start with. Next, the sites where the satellites are launched, they are not highly scalable. About 50 plus rockets can be launched yearly from those sites, so they are not very scalable. They are harder to scale because of the nature of their design and the method they are being operated. Another important point for this high cost is the launch rocket cost itself. It's technology, second the fuel, and third carrying its own weight. So those three things may make this overall satellite launch business very costly. And I think that's where the SpinLaunch try to create a brand new innovative solution. So let's take a look at the solution now. Very first thing, SpinLaunch is using the kinetic launch. It means rather than using the traditional launch, they have changed total design, and the kinetic launch is designed in a way that it does not require that first large rocket with fuel to launch a satellite. This reduces the cost significantly. Second, because there is no fuel needed in order to launch. Second, the spin arm is fully all electric system, so it's responsive and it's environment friendly. Next, because of this launch method, now their solution is about 20 times cheaper than traditional methods, and it has about 60 times cadence to the existing methods. It is quite innovative. While it has a cost reduction, which is pretty much liked by everybody, and second, it has a higher cadence with their solution. So that's another big point with SpinLaunch. A SpinLaunch solution is designed for small size satellites, so they can pack a lot more satellites with their rocket, because again, the need of larger rocket is no longer needed, so the space for more satellites is available in the rocket. So they can pack more satellites, and they can pack over 100 plus satellites per rocket, and which is almost 2 times more than existing competition. So it means for every launch, they have ability to pack more rockets. It means more business with less number of launches, where the launch itself is a 20 times cheaper. So it's quite good business prospects with SpinLaunch. So looks like the problem is being understood by SpinLaunch team very clearly, and with their more innovative solution combined with cost effectiveness and high scalability, make SpinLaunch to achieve higher success depending on how the leadership execute the company in coming years. Now, let's take a look at the product itself. At the screen, you are seeing the spinning arm suborbital accelerator, which is basically airtight vacuum chamber where the spinning arm is used to achieve the kinetic energy so that rocket can be launched through the atmosphere to suborbit where it's supposed to be placed. As you could see, this suborbital launch system is about the size of a Statue of Liberty, and they already have not only successfully built this suborbital accelerator, they have also created the first successful test flight. It means this product is fully operating. And as you could see here, it's designed to work in 5 different stages. At the first stage, the satellite or the spacecraft, which is loaded into the SpinLaunch suborbital accelerator, and that is placed inside a rocket. In the next stage, the spin arm start spinning the rocket to achieve about 5,000 miles per hour speed. Once that speed is achieved, the rocket itself achieves its enough kinetic energy so that it can be launched into the space. And this third stage is quite innovative, and it's totally different than traditional launch methods where the rocket fuel is needed. At number 4, the rocket is launched where it's going through the atmosphere, and because it doesn't need that fuel, it means it has more space to carry more satellites. It can pack more satellites during its every launch. And at number 5 stage, when this satellite is being placed in its suborbit, the orbital launch vehicle comes back to the Earth where it can be reused for the next launch. So overall, it's a quite amazing product at the start. In this step, let's try to understand SpinLaunch market and its position. To understand the market, let's try to take one very quick fact. In last 5 years, over 28,000 satellites are approved to launched in the space, and they already been launched. As of today, over 60,000 plus satellites are still waiting to be launched. It means there is a very big backlog for the satellites to be launched. So definitely there is a big need. The market itself is over $50 billion satellite launch market. Overall, space tech market is quite large. Here we are talking about the market for launching satellites in the space. It also includes the launch rocket manufacturing in it, because the SpinLaunch is also building their own rocket. So this $50 billion market involves both these two, launching plus launch rocket manufacturing. The key players are categorized in 2 separate divisions, one sending large payload with large rockets and the small payload with smaller rockets. So SpinLaunch is part of second category, sending a smaller payload with smaller rocket. While the large payload, the big players are Elon Musk, SpaceX, Jeff Bezos, Blue Origin, One Space, and the government of India sponsored company ISRO. A small size satellite launch. The key players are Orbex, Vector, Rocket Lab, and many others. Depending on the number of satellites are being launched in last 2 to 3 years, and the request is being made from various organizations to launch satellite in space, this market is going to explode. And it is expected that by 2030, this market will be about $10 trillion. And it has expectation to grow about 15% CAGR, means compound annual growth rate. So it's quite interesting. So if we look into the market and we try to understand the SpinLaunch positioning, they are in really very great position. The higher growth is expected. The commercial satellite launch, rocket manufacturing, as well as the constellation of satellite market is really going to be very huge. So looking into all these numbers, we can say that the SpinLaunch positioning is great, and now it's all about execution. Next in our list is SpinLaunch business model. Based on their product and the solution they have created, it looks like that they are trying to provide services in these three categories. One is satellite launch, means they are going to launch satellites in the space through their suborbital accelerator. They are also going to provide the satellite services, and they are also going to build their own satellite constellation, which can be used by other businesses to just use the satellite for whatever purposes they want. SpinLaunch is looking to grow their business in these three areas: satellite launch, satellite services, and satellite constellations. Definitely, the launching satellite is their main business, where they are going to launch satellites in space through their suborbital accelerator, and the key part to generate the revenue for them. In the satellite service capability, because they are going to build their own rocket and they are also going to provide launch capabilities, so adding satellite related services is no brainer, which can definitely assist their customer. So that's another thing which they all are going to add in their business model. And third, building satellite constellation. Using this satellite constellation, they can provide services directly to the customers. Those customers who doesn't really need to send the satellite, instead they can use the already available satellite in suborbits or different orbits, consume the information depending on their business needs. So these three areas, as you could see, SpinLaunch is trying to grow their business. If we try to understand SpinLaunch monetization model by first understanding their product and second understanding their business model, we can say that their key monetization strategy is through launching satellites in space. Their method of launching satellite in space is almost 20 times cheaper with 60 times higher cadence, and they also wants to have the capability to add more satellites per launch, and with the capability to launch almost 1500 satellites per year. With all these numbers, it seems that they will be able to monetize only satellite launch business at really very high level based on all these numbers we have just discussed. Second, because they are also building their own rocket. The main rocket, which is being used inside the spin arm vacuum chamber, which carrying the payload, that rocket itself is also made by SpinLaunch. This rocket is a two-stage rocket, and it's designed to propel the satellite in the space after going through the atmosphere. It's a reusable rocket which can be used again and again. So that's another way they are trying to monetize themselves, by making this reusable rocket. And because they will be able to perform over 1 to 3,000 launches per year, that is quite significant comparative to their competition, and that could be a significant revenue generator for SpinLaunch. Besides it, the satellite servicing capability along with their satellite constellation market, where direct consumers can access the satellite for whatever reason or whatever business object they have, it can also combine to their monetization stream. So looking into SpinLaunch business and monetization, we could say that they do have a very good business in front of them, and now it's depend on the leadership who could successfully execute this business in a way where the monetization can be done effectively. Now let's review the SpinLaunch competition. At the screen, you are seeing the graphics from 2 Sigma Ventures Space Tech Landscape. And as you could see, that SpinLaunch is part of a small satellite launch group, and their competitors are Vector, Orbex, Rocket Lab, etc. So definitely there are few competitors in that space, and as we have already seen that there is a big backlog of satellites to be launched in space. Looking into the competition, we could say that first, their solution is innovative. Second, it's a new solution, definitely need acceptance from the market. Wide acceptance will be needed in order to pull through almost 2 to 3,000 launches per year. Looking into the space tech space they are, and looking into their competition where everyone is really trying to compete for significant market share, we could evaluate that SpinLaunch could be a leader. As of now, there is no true leader in that space. Everybody is trying their best. So SpinLaunch, with their innovative technology, we could say that SpinLaunch can be the leader in this small satellite launch space. And if they can be or not, that's only time will tell. Now let's take a look at SpinLaunch progress and the traction. Based on all the information we have, SpinLaunch definitely have completed their MVP. Not only they have MVP, they have successfully proved their technology point. Now the business acceptance and wide adoption is the key for their main success. They have already proven that their technology is innovative and really game changing if it works. They have already built their suborbital accelerator and used that suborbital accelerator to launch the very first test satellite in October 2021. That all those things are done. Now they are working on to get their second site done, and they are also trying to work through with FAA and other organizations to complete all the requirements so that they could scale their business. Based on the information we have, is that definitely they are working on to get the funding done, and they could use this funding to scale themselves in a way so that by 2023 they are ready for commercial launch. It means by 2023 they can start launching satellites in space, and by that time it is very much possible that they will be able to start generating significant revenue. And now at last we are going to take a look about SpinLaunch outlook. So far we have understood that their technology is innovative and it's already proved to be working. Its commercial acceptation has to be evaluated and accepted. That needs to be seen in future. Then we look into the market, which is definitely very big, and it's growing almost 15% annually. It's supposed to reach almost 10 trillion by 2030. So growth is there. We have also seen the class or the space where SpinLaunch is going to compete. Definitely there are a few players, but it is very much possible that with a great execution, SpinLaunch has opportunity to be the leader in that market segment. SpinLaunch already proved that they have solved the problem, which is very critical. Cost, fuel, not environment friendly, not able to scale. So with their solution, they try to checkbox all these problems, which gives higher confidence that they have a product which could be successful. Technology is proving. Now it just needs more validation from market. Is it really accessible? Is it really good enough that it can be used again and again without any problem could arise? So those things has to be seen in future. We just can't predict them as of now. By looking into all the points which we have just reviewed in previous slides, we could say that SpinLaunch definitely has all the ingredients to be very successful startup in coming years. However, like any startup, the execution is the key. Is the leadership smart and capable enough to make really good decisions when they are needed and execute everything in a way that they could make SpinLaunch the very successful company. So we have taken SpinLaunch to the spin in our startup review session. We looked SpinLaunch through various data points, understood their business, market, their positioning, and their product. We have also looked into the market where SpinLaunch is playing, the competition, and the possibility for their growth. Overall, we try to understand a lot more about SpinLaunch startup through several different ways, such as problem, solution, product, market, competition, business and monetization model, their overall progress, traction, and finally what their outlook looks like. So it looks that SpinLaunch definitely has a great product, and we wish SpinLaunch team all the best for their project, and we look forward to seeing their success in the coming years. That's all, my friends. I hope to see you in my next video. If you have enjoyed our content, please like it, share it, and subscribe it. At last, please be good and do good. Thank you.